Hello, my dear students. So welcome to our first discussion for income taxation. So basically, this video is or will discuss the general principles of taxation. So under week 1 to 2 discussions or unit 1, the first unit learning outcomes should discuss the principles of taxation and the importance of taxation. So let's define first taxation. So taxation is a power now inherent in every sovereign state. So to impose a charge or burden upon persons, properties, or rights, to raise revenues for the use and support of the government, to enable it to discharge its functions. So primarily, the purpose of taxation is to raise revenue since the government needed funds to defray its expenses. And also the state or the government should have source of revenue to defray those expenses. The second purpose is to regulate. So you have learned in your macroeconomics that through fiscal policy, the government can adjust its spending and taxation to influence the nation's economy. And then the last one, so the last purpose of taxation is to compensate the benefits provided by the government to the people. Okay, so the power of taxation is essential or necessary since the government can neither exist nor endure without taxation. So, kasi nga, di ba, taxes are lifeblood of the government. So, without taxes, without taxation, the government would be paralyzed. So, importante ang taxation kasi the government cannot exist without taxes. So what are the basic principles of a sound tax system? So first we have fiscal adequacy. So under fiscal adequacy, so it states that the revenue of the government should be sufficient to meet the government expenditure so as not to incur deficit. Kasi magkaka-deficit siya, mag-deficit magod siya if the revenue of the government is not enough to defray the expenses of the government. Equality or theoretical justice, So tax imposed must be proportionate to taxpayers' ability to pay, So dapat ang taksa na bayaran sa taxpayer should be proportionate sa iyang ability to pay the tax. So more likely, so those who earn more income, they should pay more taxes. And for those who earns lesser income, they should pay lesser taxes. And sometimes they pay no taxes at all. So next would be administrative feasibility. So law must be capable, convenient, just, and effective in administration. So aside from taxation, so the state has three powers. So first, diba, is taxation. So it's the power of the state by which the sovereign raises revenue to defray the necessary expenses of the government. The next one would be eminent domain. So it's the power to take private property for public use upon payment of just compensation. So so the state or the government would buy the private property for just compensation. So say for example, na yung road widening or maghimo o kalsada ang government, so that's of course that's for public use. So the owner of the land, murag isa yaw siya sa government na palito ng iyahang property, for the construction of the roads. So si owner should sell the property to the state or to the government. Pero don't worry, it's because, di ba, it's just na dawat na po siya og just compensation. Last would be the police power. So, ang police power is the power of the state na maghimo og balaod no, to enact laws to promote public health, no, public morals, public safety, and the general welfare of the people. So, we have aspects of taxation. No? So, first, levying of the tax, and the second one of the collection of the tax levied, or ang pagpataw or ang pagkolekta ng buwis. So in the Philippines, ang pag-create of tax laws is legislative intervention, meaning legislative in nature. So meaning to say, it's in the hands of the Congress or the Senate. So, pero mag-ano yun, so duha mo na siya, duha mo yun ang legislative body, the upper and the lower. So, sa lower, mo na ang Congress, niya, sa upper is ang Senate. Pero sugod ang tax bill, ang bill kaysa sa Congress. No? So, it's the Congress who create tax laws or tax bills. Second one is the collection of the tax levied. No? So, ang pagkolekta sa tax is diba, through a government agency. So, ang government agency na responsible for the collection of the taxes is the Bureau of Internal Revenue. No? So, it's the Congress who levy tax, and it's the BIR who collect the taxes. Though taxation is inherent na, so still may limitations ang power of taxation. So there are two limitations. We have constitutional limitations and inherent limitations. So constitutional kasi since ang tax laws so nag-create of tax laws, so power to tax is limited lang gyud kung what the constitution kung unsa naka-provide sa constitution, no? And inherent limitations, on the other hand, are restrictions to the power to tax attached to its nature. So first, we do have purpose kasi 'di ba ang taxes should be made for or should be crafted for public purpose, no? So next one is territoriality, no? So ang state may tax persons properties under its jurisdiction. So pag beyond na siyang jurisdiction, dili na niya pwede i-tax. So that's why it became an inherent limitation. Third one is international committee. So it's the property of a foreign state may not be taxed by another. So pwede na maghimo og treaty ang duha country, no? To provide some exemptions for taxation, though within pa sa jurisdiction sa state. So more siya og treaty between the two countries. The fourth was is exemption. So exemption, so governmental agencies performing government functions are exempt. All governmental agencies, no, the national agencies, the local agencies, no, the GOCCs, the government-owned and controlled corporations, and even the local government units are all exempt from tax. But those agencies performing governmental functions, kasi there are those governmental agencies who are performing proprietary functions. They are not exempted from tax. The last one would be non-delegation. So, ang power to tax, being legislative in nature, may not be delegated. So, naalang yun sa Congress ang power to create tax bills. Then, it would turn out to be tax laws. So, it will not be delegated. No? It may not be delegated. So, even, no, isag pa ang BIR. Ang BIR, they cannot create tax laws. Ang ilang trabaho is to administrative, no? kailangan yung trabaho is just to collect tax laws based on collect taxes based on the provided rulings, so taxation rulings. But exemption to non-delegation, so we have three exemptions. We have the president, so kasi the taxation may be delegated to the president. There are also other administrative agencies now was exempted for the non-delegation, and also some local government unit kasi na instances na ang LGUs mag-craft of local taxes no for purpose of additional revenue for the local government unit. So let's have some doctrines in taxation. So we have prospectivity of tax laws. So taxes must be imposed prospectively by law, but unless so expressed by law, taxes must be imposed no prospectively. So we say prospective no pag mag-change ang tax laws no, so or ma-repeal ang tax law, ang iyahang effectivity is current and prospective. So dili siya retrospective kasi when we say retrospective, apil ang past transactions maapektuhan. So ang changes sa tax law should be prospective. No? So dapat ang maapektuhan lang is ang current no, or kung kanus-an na took effect ang changes o ang future. No? So dili na to siya i-consider ang mga past transactions. Okay, so we have concept no, of double taxation. So double taxation or direct duplicate is unconstitutional. So when can we say that it's double taxation? So we can say that it's double taxation if it taxes the same person, property, or right twice, no? For the same purpose, same taxing authority, same jurisdiction, same taxable period, and same product or tax. If all these are present, meaning to say it's unconstitutional, it's double taxation. It's indirect duplicate if bisag isa lang, no? If any of the elements for the direct taxation is not present, it's indirect duplicate, no? So dili siya double taxation, dili siya unconstitutional. So ato ha, if isa lang, no, kahit isa lang sa conditions para ma-consider siya double taxation is wala, then it can be considered indirect duplicate, no? So ma-consider siya pag double taxation or direct duplicate if present ting tanan, no? Itong same person, property or right, purpose, authority, jurisdiction, taxable period, and character of the tax. And if present yan lahat, that's double taxation. Pag may isang naisa ka kulang, no? That's indirect duplicate. So legal pa yan siya. It's still constitutional. So set of taxes. So taxes are not subject to set off or legal compensation. So dili pwede na if the government owes to you and you also owe the government, dili pwede na i-offset ang obligation. So yun siya. So dili siya pwede i-pakang. So pakang man ang layman's term, no. So taxes are not subject for offsetting. And we also have escape from taxation. So we have the tax avoidance and tax evasion. So what is illegal is tax avoidance. So it's a device that is legally permissible. So normally some firms or some organizations hire tax experts just to minimize taxes, or to avoid taxes, but it's legal, legal siya on a legal way, or they implement tax avoidance scheme and tax minimization scheme, pero it's legal. So what is illegal is tax evasion. So it connotes fraud through the use of pretenses and forbidden devices to lessen or defeat taxes. So normally, nangyayari, there are organizations who under-declare, no, dili i-declare ito ng revenue, tapos gina-overstate ang expenses, thereby reducing net income and reducing tax na ginabayaran. But nai-power ang BIR na para mapaklose no, ang mga negosyo. Na yung mga tax evasion cases, na yung mga companies who have tax evasion cases na napasirado, no? Due to some tax evasion cases nag-i-issue sa BIR. So we have Situs of Taxation. So ang Situs of Taxation is the place of taxation. So ang place of taxation magdepende no so for some factors. First is the subject matter. So ang subject matter kung unsa ang taxan is being taxed is either a person, property or an activity, no. So if determine ang subject matter, determine na po kung unsa ang nature sa tax, no. So, may it be income tax, import duty, or real property. So, say for example, si person, pwede siya, no? The subject matter is person, then ang nature of tax is income tax. So, pwede na ang subject matter is property, then ang nature of tax is real property tax. Then, pwede na ang subject matter is activity, no? Then, ang activity which is importation, no? Then, ang iyang nature of tax is import duty. Then, also, makonsider po other factor for the place of taxation is the citizenship of the taxpayer. So, later on, in the discussion or the next succeeding videos, we'll discuss ano yung effect sa citizenship sa taxpayer sa iyahang taxable income, no? Then, lastly, would be the residence, no, of the taxpayer. So, ang Situs of Taxation, no, so, ang person, depende sa residence of the taxpayer. Next would be have real property or tangible personal property. So, ang iyang situs, depende kung asa ang location sa property. So, what are real property? So, real property are land or building, no, and anything naka-attach sa land with permanence, no. Then, third one would be intangible personal property such as mga franchise, partnership rights, no, even bank accounts, consider yun siya as intangible personal property kasi literally wala silang physical substance. So, situs niya is owner unless he has acquired situs elsewhere. Ang income naman, no, so depende siya sa taxpayer's residence, no, or place where the income was earned. Ang business, depende kung asa ang business nag-operate. Ang occupation, kung asa siya gina-practice. And then, kung transaction, depende kung asa ang transaction or activity na complete. So, that would be the situs of taxation. Ang gratuitous transfer of property naman, when we say gratuitous transfer of property, ang pag-transfer of property na walay consideration, no? So, in our tax code, we do have two gratuitous transfers. Tax on gratuitous transfers, we have succession or succession subject to state tax and donation subject to donor's tax. No? Kasi sa succession or state tax, ang state, no, before siya i-distribute sa heirs, magbayad sa state tax. And ang donor's tax, no, so ang donor, before mapasa yun ang property kay donee, should pay the donor's tax. So, taxes are enforced, no, proportional contributions from persons and property, so levied by the lawmaking body. So again, it's the Congress, no, it's the Congress who enact tax laws of the state by the virtue of its sovereignty. Kasi nga, di ba, inherent power siya. Isa sa power sa state, inherent, is taxation power. No? So, of course, for public purpose, to support of the government and all its public needs. So, what are the essential characteristics of a tax? So, first, so what I've said kanina, it is an enforced contribution. It is levied with the lawmaking body. No, it should be proportionate in character. It should be based on the taxpayer's ability to pay. Then it is generally payable in money. All taxes, all nature of tax, generally payable in money. Then of course, ang principal purpose of tax is to raise revenues, and all taxes, no, should be for public purpose. Let's have classification of taxes. As to subject matter, di ba? Sa subject matter, ano man yun, person, property, and activity. So, as to subject matter, we have personal pool or capitation. So, we have personal pool or capitation, that's tax of a fixed amount. So, and gina-impose siya to individuals residing within specified territory. No? So, the very good example of personal pool or capitation tax is the community tax, or what we call the cedula. No? So, the next one is property tax. No? So, of course, ang property tax imposed on property, real or personal. So, example is real property tax, or we commonly know this as mihoras. No? Nagabayad magitag mihoras sa tanan na tong real properties. And then, we also have excise taxes. So, excise taxes imposed upon performance or an act. So, ang subject matter and isang activity, no? So, the enjoyment of a privilege or the engaging in occupation, profession, or business. So, example, ani, is income tax, the VAT or the value-added tax, state tax, and the donor's tax. So, as to who bears the burden, now we have two, no, direct and indirect. So, when we say direct, a tax is imposed on the person who also bears the burden thereof. So, meaning to say, ang taxpayer mismo ang mag-bear sa burden sa pagbayad sa tax. So, we have income tax. For example, income tax. So, if a person na trabaho, no, magbayad siya income tax, no, so siya ang nag-bear sa burden sa pagbayad. Community tax or cedula, di ba? So, kung magkuha kang cedula, ikaw mismo ang mag-bear sa burden sa pagbayad sa tax. And ang state tax, no, kasi for state tax, the state itself ang taxan. No? So, dili ang namatay, dili po tong heirs, so the state itself. So, the state itself ang taxan. So, before distribute ang property sa heirs, so kuhaan na siya daan og tax. Indirect siya when the taxpayer can shift the burden of the tax to another. So, the very good example of indirect tax is the value-added tax. So, say for example, na kay business. No? So, na kay buying and selling business. Subject ka to VAT. So, pag mag-purchase ka goods for resale, maka-incur ka VAT, which is input tax. Then later on, pag ibaligya nimo ang goods, mag-provide man ka, no? Magpataw ka o output tax. So, mahitabo, mas safe ang burden, no? Kasi ang VAT na na-incur nimo, no, upon purchasing goods, unya, then pag magbaligya na ka through selling the goods, no, normally at a higher price, no, ma-shift nimo ang burden. So, ang pinakaluoy ani isang end consumer, Kasi wala naman siya pasahan sa wala naman siya kapasahan sa burden sa tax. Next is as to determination of amount. So we have specific and ad valorem. So specific, ang tax is based on physical unit of measurement or volume. So magdepende siya sa head, number, weight, length, or volume. Example ana, tax on distilled spirits, fermented liquors, and cigarettes. No? So magdepende sa volume. Magdepende. So for example sa sin tax, kanang tax sa cigarettes upon production. So magdepende sa volume, no? Kung pila ang na-produce, mupod na ang tax. Ang ad valorem on the other hand, kung ang specific is depende sa physical unit of measurement or volume, ang ad valorem magdepende sa amount. No? So, say for example, mga real estate tax. Kasi magdepende ang real estate tax sa value sa real property, ang amount sa real property. That's why ito requires intervention of assessor. I-assess kung pila ang fair market value sa property, then muna siyang basihan para sa tax. Okay, so as to purpose, diba, ang taxes may either be general or special. General, fiscal, or revenue. So, general, ang purpose jud niya is to support the government or to raise revenue for the government. No? And the second one is to are special or regulatory. So, imposed for a special purpose to achieve some social or economic objectives. So, for example, protective tariffs or custom duties on imported goods intended to protect local industries. Kasi, di ba, sa ginabuhat sa sa state or sa government is inatasan nila ang import duties or ang custom duties para some companies or organizations dili ganahan mo import, mo support na lang sa local products. Kasi pag mag-import sila, madakan man sila og custom duties or import duties. As to authority imposing the tax. So, ang authority to impose tax depende siya if it's from the national and it's for the LGU or the local. So, pag national, of course, imposed by national government, no? Example, mga national internal revenue taxes and custom duties. So, we also have local taxes, no? So, example, mga real estate tax, occupation tax, kasi ang nag-impose, is ang municipal or the local government units. So, pag national, if it's a national tax, ang fund or ang revenue, maatupod sa national. And pag local tax siya, no? So, ang taxes na ma-raise is for the LGU. Okay, so as to graduation rates, so we have 3 systems of taxation. So we have proportional. When we say proportional, it is ang tax based on a fixed percentage of the amount of property, income, or other bases to be taxed. So, example, we have value-added tax, diba? Ang VAT is 12%. So, regardless kung pila ang amount, fixed ang rate, still 12%. So, fixed ang percentage. When we say progressive naman, ang progressive is, as the tax rate increases, or the tax base increases, the tax rate also increases. So, for example, sa 100,000 na 200,000 na bracket na revenue, example, 10% ang tax. And then, sa 200,000 to 500,000, 10% ang tax. Kung 100,000 to 200,000, 5% ang tax. Kung 200,000 to 500,000, 10% ang tax. So, as the tax bracket increases or tax base increases, the tax rate also increases. No? That's progressive. Ang regressive, on the other hand, kay medyo kabaltaran sa progressive. Kasi ang regressive is, nag-decrease ang tax rate as the tax base increases. No? So, as in our current tax rulings, or tax laws, That's we have a mixture of proportional. So may mga proportional, may mga taxes tayo na proportional ang rate, then may taxes tayo na progressive or graduated ang rates. As distinguish tax from other fees. So ang toll kasi is demand of ownership. No? So di ba normally we pay toll for or we collect toll for the use of property or private property, no? Ang tax kasi 'di ba is as a demand of sovereignty, and its purpose is to support of the government. As to amount naman, ang toll parang fair return lang sa cost of the property or improvement, no? Sa ka ng road toll, no? Nagabayad man to sa og road toll pag private property ang atong ginaagian. And then, as to amount sa tax, there's no limit. So, depende siya sa needs sa government. So, from penalty, no? So, ang penalty, ang purpose is to regulate conduct. And whereas ang tax, ang purpose is for fundraising. So, para na ay source ang government or na source of income ang government. So, ang maka-impose lang po sa tax is only the government. No? But ang penalty, maka-impose po ang even the private. So, ang maka-impose ang penalty kay private and government. So, from special assessment, so ang special assessment is levied only on land. So, sa land lang yun, na-impose ang special assessment. Pero ang tax, it's the person's properties and activity. So, normally, kina-impose ang special assessment pag there is public improvement that benefits the land. Kasi diba, usahay ka lang, pag na-improvement himuon ang government, no, mutaas magud ang value sa land. So, pag mutaas ang value sa land, so pwede nila patawan og special assessment ang owner of the land who benefits, no? Kisa naka-benefit sa improvement, sa public improvement sa land, no? So, ang purpose po sa tax is support of the government. Then, ang special assessment to siya, may contribution to cost of the public improvement. Okay, so that we are this is of the discussion principles of a sound tax system. So I'll provide another discussion, video discussion for the succeeding topics. Thank you.